Welcome to Scoop World Order. We're going live. We are having fun. Summerfest concluded. We got a superstar commitment. We're going to get into that and break that down. Super excited about that. Big time news for Brian Hartline and Ryan Day and this offense. A lot of kids are at the shoe today. A lot of local kids. It was kind of their Friday Night Lights. They call it Summerfest now. We're going to break down that. Got a huge big time corner commitment ceremony coming on Sunday. We're going to get into that. And we're going to take your questions. So I hope you guys are ready to party tonight because it's a good day today when you get maybe the number one player in the class of 2026 to surprisingly commit to the Buckeyes. But first, as always, we're very thankful, very grateful for you guys. Thank you guys for being a part of this. Thank you for liking this content. Shout out where you guys are from. Again, we're getting it from everywhere: Georgia, Florida, Central America, Asia. We appreciate you guys all over the place, especially our Ohio folks. You guys carry us. Click that little dinner bell if you enjoy these live shows. Click that subscribe button. Keep spreading the good word, sending this to all of your friends and family and your biggest Ohio State fans because we appreciate you guys. It's not an accident that we were growing faster than any Ohio State podcast out there. So thank you guys so much for that. That being said, going to bring in my good friend, Nevada Buck. Hello, Sue. Hello, JoJo. Hello, Troy. Our regulars are in the building. How are you tonight, Nevada? Summerfest is over. We got a massive commitment from Chris Henry Jr., the son of Slim Henry, who was actually a teammate of mine with the Cincinnati Bengals in '08. What were your initial thoughts when you saw that he pulled the trigger?
Well, my thoughts were that, hey, we can be happy for like 5 minutes, and then we got to start worrying about the next kid because our happiness we can only be happy for 5 minutes at a time when something like this happens. So I've used up about 4 minutes and 31 seconds of it. So I've got about 29 more seconds of happiness on the Chris Henry thing. But let's review that tape. Let's be happy for another half minute and bask in the glow of another 5-star wide receiver committing to the Buckeyes.
Is it time to be worried about Aaron Scott now? Is that what it is? Because we got a 5-star, maybe the best player in the 2026 class to commit, and now's the time to worry about some offensive guard going elsewhere or some cornerback going elsewhere?
That's always, Mr. Barton, that is the rule. That's the golden rule of Ohio State recruiting, man, is that when you get somebody, it's just a brief interlude of happiness until some despair over some kid that goes elsewhere. So not sure when it's going to happen. Not sure if it's going to be this weekend or next weekend, but it's going to happen, and we're going to be unhappy when it happens, man. So buckle up.
Yeah, well, I'm excited about the kid. Again, I've gotten to know Pac-Man. I was texting him saying we still got to go golfing. He's been talking about he's friends with one of my business friends, and we've got to kind of get in a little texting group. And I think he's done a great job. He sees the value of Brian Hartline's development. These guys going into the first round, we're taking basically it's like 2 a year going first round to Ohio State. It's an unprecedented pace. I don't even know if Bama in their heyday was like that when they had Judy and Waddle and all those guys. I don't think they're putting them out like this, but. Again, I'm just excited for the kid. I think it's smart when these kids, they're getting ready to start high school. Football is a violent, dangerous game. Anything can happen. Ohio State has a history of honoring commitments if guys have some sort of debilitating injury. So I think it's smart to commit before you start he's only going to be starting his sophomore season, but if you're starting your junior season or your senior season, get committed, peace of mind. You got your scholarship on the table. Yeah, if you break your leg, like Ohio State would, if you can't ever play again, they're not going to drop you. They'll put you on a medical and you'll be able to go to school for free. At the worst case scenario and the best case scenario, just be able to come and do your thing. So I think it's smart of the kid. He could be a leader in the class of 2026, being the first commit in that class. He'll be a 5-star when the rankings come out. He's so young, they haven't even ranked that class yet. But when they do, he'll be a J.J. Smith type 5-star. He's that lanky 6'5", $190. He's going to be 210 probably by the time he fills out, and he can run. He's a 4.4, 4.3 guy, and that's the kind of guy that you build a class around. He's another focal point type receiver, and really excited about him. Nevada, the Summerfest went on. A lot of the commits were there. The Armstrong twins, Mark Nave, Bryce West. They're all there trying to lure some of these kids into the fold. What do you make of these late summer type deals? I know that back in the olden days, like Urban and 12, we wanted to do that Friday Night Lights camp, and it was really hard because it was a really competitive camp, and it was tough because some of these kids, you don't want them to get hurt. If a kid rolls an ankle and misses 2 days, like that's devastating. But what do you think of these late cycle visits right before camp starts?
Well, it's interesting because I was a big fan of Friday Night Lights. Meyer had kind of brought that to Ohio State. We'd never had anything like that prior to Meyer coming, and we always looked at least from my standpoint, I always looked at other schools that had these types of gala extravaganzas, and I was like, man, why don't we do something like that? And then Meyer comes, and it's with all the pomp and circumstance and all the stuff, and I loved it. So frankly, I don't know why we've gone away from it, but recruiting's changing. The calendar is certainly changing, and as you said, a lot of things are moving up. Things that never used to happen. I mean, just the whole idea of visits, official visits, rarely used to happen over the summer. Now it's commonplace, and so I just think everything's kind of moving up. So maybe Friday Night Lights is a casualty, but for me, I'm old school. I liked it. I liked having that one big gala event at night in the stadium under the lights, kind of doing all that, and wish we'd bring it back, but it might just be a casualty of the calendar and never to be seen again.
Yeah, I think it was a really cool event. I mean, the first year, especially when we'd never done it before, we had kind of an A-list. I mean, we had guys I'd never even seen before at Ohio State, like Big Daddy Wilkinson was there. I'd never seen him before. He'd never come around. We had Orlando Pace there. We had Troy Smith, Herb Street, Eddie George. It was like an A-list. And then as years went on, it kind of died down a little bit because these guys like Orlando Pace, they show up and they don't get anything for coming other than just helping the program. Like they don't get any money, they don't get their travel paid for. Like, I mean, it's like kind of a pain to get to Ohio and, on a Friday and stay for a couple days. And, so guys, eventually, the tier of players started to drop down year over year from that first year. But again, the thing that was terrifying, especially when I worked it as a player, was you just end up having or as a coach, excuse me, is that you're just scared to death that one of these guys is going to get hurt, roll an ankle, blow a knee out. I mean, because they're running around on turf, I mean, they're cutting, they're doing one-on-ones, doing one-on-one pass rush, they're doing competitive drills. And, even if a guy just sprains an ankle and he misses 2 or 3 weeks of camp, like that's devastating for a high school team. And then you got to call that high school football coach up and say, hey, sorry, we had this kid come to his 5th camp of the summer and it's right before you guys get started, and sorry about your luck. He's not going to be in shape for the season to start. So it's tough. Like I said, I loved it, but it's different when you have the camps in June, because if a kid gets injured with a minor thing like an ankle or whatever, a hamstring, he's got a couple months to get ready to go before camp starts in August for football. But you do it right at the end of July. I mean, every person in the world starts football next week. And some started this week. Notre Dame already started practicing today because they have a week 0 game, so they actually start a week before Ohio State, so they're already practicing. So we start a week from yesterday, so next Thursday they're going to be going. But yeah, I mean it's here. Football is here, everybody. So it's time to join the scoop. Nevada, Aaron Scott. I feel like we've talked about him maybe more than any person in the history of podcasts. How are you feeling? We're 2 days out. Oregon, Michigan, Ohio State, Dad's birthday. Any cause for concern? I know this has been a really weird one, but would love your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've got them going to the Buckeyes. I don't have this one, so I don't. This isn't one where I've got it because when I have it, I tell you when I got it. I don't have it, but Ohio State makes just so much sense to me, and um, I'm I'm sticking going down with Ohio State all the way to the very end on this one. If I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. I don't think I have though. I think I got this one. I think he loves his dad too much, and I think he's going to give his dad a Buckeye birthday present on Sunday. It's a gift for Dad, but it's a gift for all of us too. So we get to share the present on Sunday, and we all celebrate.
Yeah, and we get to be happy for what, 3 minutes? You said celebrate it, and
Five,
then five.
five
Okay,
minutes, 5 minutes.
that it's on to the next one. Yeah, I think that I'd be. I mean, I've been surprised, and it's never been weirder than like right now because like the Kingston thing was really weird. Because I talked to people and what he is, and they're like, oh yeah, he's in the bag and done, and then like they wake up the next, and again the kid gave the line like I could envision myself at USC, I could envision myself at Ohio State, but I read the scripture that said go where you don't envision whatever, and so I picked Notre Dame, and it's like okay, like I don't know how you're supposed to defeat that, but this has been weird. I think analysts literally don't know anything anymore. Like a lot of these guys, I mean, it's, unless we have like in with the agent or the coach, it's really tough now. And I mean, that was one that shocked everybody. It shocked everybody in the media, a lot of the coaches. This one, I think this kid's all Buckeye. I think he likes the pomp, the circumstance. I think that when there's drama in the recruiting, I think that people naturally are more excited when you commit. Obviously, Miles Lockhart, again, I talk about his commitment is like the opposite of Aaron Scott. Miles Lockhart, like, didn't visit anywhere, didn't tweet, didn't wear different gloves and shoes and dry fits and whatever from different schools. Like, he was just wearing Ohio State stuff all the time. Then when he went to commit, no drama. And when he commits, he's just kind of like a ho-hum. Oh, we got this kid, and he wasn't visiting Alabama 17 times before he went to commit. And I think that it's weird because I respect kids that do it like that because they're all business as opposed to kind of doing this little pomp and this little clown show type deal. But, I think that it generates excitement and drama. And I think that's what some of these kids thrive on. But I think he's a Buckeye. I mean, if he's not, whatever. But it's just, I can't imagine on your dad's birthday when he's a diehard Ohio State fan, you're going to commit to Michigan or Oregon, say, hey, sorry, Dad, I love you. Instead of being an hour away, I'm going to be 4 time zones away, as far away as possible from you, or I'm going to go to your most hated team. So I don't know. That one seems like it's too easy. We had some interesting stuff on Nigel Glover. How you feel about that one? I mean, because that one could be Kentucky, Michigan, us. Again, this is a kid that didn't have offers from any of those schools, and then he goes to Northwestern, and then the bomb gets dropped. They fire Fitzgerald. How are you feeling on Nigel Glover at this point?
Well, Nigel Glover kind of is a perfect example of how difficult it is in the NIL era. I mean, Nigel Glover and his dad are both huge Ohio State fans. When Ohio State came in with the offer, after not going after him the first time around, seemed like he'd be all Buckeye. Kentucky's coming with a really aggressive NIL offer, and I think it's given him stuff to think about. So, you just don't know. And that's, frankly, for me personally, it's why I've pivoted away from recruiting information and gone to inside information on the team, because I think recruiting's so fluid right now with NIL and other factors that you're just seeing analysts just look silly all the time in terms of picking these kids, because it can change really, really fast. And it was never that way before. I mean, it used to be kids would play the game, or somebody could give them the bag, but usually that took some time. Now with NIL, you could make up your mind, get an offer, communicate that offer, and in 15 minutes, a kid can change completely from going one direction to another direction. And like I said, that's why analysts, guys who are really good at this, are just missing left and right. Every other commitment, like missing left and right. And so today it was nice to have Chris Henry. We equal signed Chris Henry a while back, probably the earliest equal sign I'd ever given. It was nice to see him come into the barn, and real excited about that 5-star commitment. But like I said, I can't be happy about it. I've used up my 5 minutes of happiness on him. So now I've got to worry about Aaron Scott on Sunday. And I hate myself for that, but that's the rules, man. We got to worry about Aaron Scott.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I think the Henry thing was great that he got it done. Shout out Pac-Man. I mean, he's really kept him down, ready to go, focus on the main thing, which is smart. But Nigel's a kid that, he's the perfect project. He's a guy that, he's a strong safety-ish, taller, free safety-ish, 6'3", 210, has gained weight, is still growing, can grow to that 230-pound speed linebacker that we need. So, guys change year over year. Again, this is like a guy that he kind of got to Northwestern, started as a freshman, been freshman All Big Ten, freshman All American, hit the portal, then we'd be where we are right now. So, I mean, we took Victor Cutler, who played at Louisiana, Lafayette or Monroe, one of the Louisiana schools, one of the dinky little, Louisiana schools, I think Louisiana Monroe. And, he's at Ohio State now. So these guys, their rankings change after they get somewhere. Some of these guys develop, some of these guys get bigger, faster. I mean, Randy Shannon is linebackers coach for Florida State. He loved this kid, really wanted this kid. And Randy Shannon's coach, at the U when they were the U back in the early 2000s. So, it's not like he hasn't seen what like a good looking linebacker prospect is. And, and he's got an eye for talent. So if he wants the kid at Florida State really badly and Kentucky wants to back up a 6-figure offer to him, in cash, then, I mean, this is a guy we should be excited about. Again, I think that, Arvel Reese has eaten his way out of being a linebacker. Not eaten, but he's grown, lifted. Some guys, they're not going to be able to say it 235. They're going to be here. They're going to be 255 and be playing DN. So you really need to get another versatile speed linebacker in the linebacker room. And this is the guy, So I think he'd be a huge get. His dad and him are huge Ohio State fans. So I think the only reason that there's been some pause is because, they didn't offer initially. And, when someone offers you, north of $100,000 cash and a car, you got to consider that, in my opinion. I mean, it's just natural. Like I love Ohio State, but if someone throws a ton of money you got to consider it. But I don't know. I mean, this is going to be a tough one. I thought I would have bet 2 days ago that this thing was all done Ohio State, but it's taking longer than I thought. I mean, he's on his official visit right now. I mean, he could commit to Ohio State. I mean, he's got to commit somewhere tomorrow because he's literally is got to commit and be in training camp like Thursday somewhere. I mean, he's not going to go through summer workouts. Doesn't know anybody. I mean, it's almost like he's an NFL free agent. And he's going to sign and show up to training camp. So he's committing somewhere tomorrow. Again, he's at Ohio State right now. Official visit dinner. Again, I'd be shocked because he can't really go anywhere else because he has to literally commit tomorrow. So we'll see how that ends up. Nevada camp is here.
But now,
good.
Yeah, but now let's just talk. I mean, like people want to look at it and go, "Oh, Northwestern commit. How good?" Do you know how many first-round picks Northwestern's had in the past 2 NFL drafts?
Well, they had the tackle this year, and they have who they also had the corner went to the Browns. They had Rashawn Slater, who went to the Chargers, went like top 5, 10. Sikorsky or Skoronsky went top 15.
I mean, they've had 3 in the past. They've had 3 first-round draft picks in the last 2 years. So it's not like Northwestern doesn't have players. They don't have as many as Ohio State, but they've got players. So when I hear people like, "Oh, we're taking a kid from Northwestern," what the heck? It's like Northwestern has players too, man. I'm telling you, and they got some good ones. And I like this kid. And, you can talk a lot about Knowles and stuff, but what Knowles did with that linebacker room, he knows what he wants with his linebackers. And for all the complaints that we've got about Jim Knowles, the transformation in the linebackers from 2 years ago to last year was the biggest single transformation in a position group I've ever seen at Ohio State with the same players, ever. Tommy Eichenberg went from Tough Borland to A.J. Hawkins. Now, I've said that before. Steel Chambers went from running back to, he might make some All-American teams this year. So, like I said, we want to bag on Knowles, but he knows what he wants at his linebackers, and he knows he's looking at, and he's excited about Glover. So if he's excited about him, man, I'm all in. And I don't doubt his talent one bit because Northwestern gets players too, man. It's not just Ohio State or bust.
Well, I mean, we played them in the year that we played Bama and got smoked in the national title game. I mean, we played Northwestern. That's when Trey Sermon ran for 5,000 yards in that one game. So it's not like we haven't seen them in the Big Ten West. I mean, they show up, and again, when we lost to them in 2004, and they had NFL dudes all over their defense. I mean, they had NFL guys on their offensive line. Their offensive line had like 4 NFL guys that year, and they had Luis Castillo, who was a Pro Bowler. They literally had a Pro Bowl defensive end, and they also had a guy that played in like 10 years, Barry Cofield, who's an Ohio guy, at D tackle. I mean, they were like really, really good, like literally a Pro Bowler. So again, I don't judge the jerseys. I don't judge. People get all caught up in it. We go, "Oh, how can you think of Northwestern guy?" I'm like, dude, there's guys at Northwestern that are better than some of the guys we got. I mean, that left tackle they had last year would have started over Dwan easily, or he would have started at one of the guard spots. I mean, he's starting at tackle for Tennessee now that Paris is, or excuse me, Nick Petit is suspended for 6 games. So again, again, these guys develop. He's gained some weight. He looks bigger. I mean, again, they say, well, he didn't put any pads on from November until last month or last week. But I mean, a kid that's developing could gain 15, 20 pounds of like muscle and athleticism, and he's been in a college strength program for a few months. He was training all winter. Again, like, guys change, and if they like what they see on the hoof, hey, let's get him. I mean, he's an Ohio kid. He's a Dayton kid. I'm sure he'd be excited to play here. It'd be a blast. So I'm all in on it. But what are you most excited about, Nevada? I mean, again, we're less than a week away from camp opening up, move-in for these players, man. This is their last weekend of freedom for 2.5 weeks. They're going to be in that hotel. What are you looking forward to?
Well, I'm looking forward to see who the Duron Carter. Can somebody sneak a girl into the hotel during fall camp award? We'll see if somebody gets one of those this year. And other than that, really, it's the quarterback battle. You keep hearing all this stuff about Devin Brown and Kyle McCord and Lincoln Keenals, and I just think that is going to be one for the ages, man, because it's you've got the quarterback whisperer in Ryan Day who knows what he wants. He knows what he wants in his offense, and you got three really talented dudes, all at different stages of development, coming to play quarterback at Ohio State. And those years when you've got like guys that are all set and you know what you're going to get, and they might be a little bit better, but you've seen them all before. That's great, and that certainly gives you comfort. But as a fan and as someone who just likes the drama, I can't wait to see what these guys can do because I have no idea. I mean, Devin Brown could be the next, the right-handed Steve Young, as far as we're concerned. We have no idea. So, I can't wait to see him on the field in the fall, and the first game's going to be kicking off before we know it. So this offseason, they go in a blur anymore. Like I said, it's a 365-day schedule for the Buckeyes. There's no offseason anymore, and this year proves it because it just seems like we just got done playing Georgia, missing that kick about 2 hours ago, and now we're getting ready to kick it off for fall camp. So I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I agree. I threw some Marvell on just to watch him. Obviously, he's not at the Villier, but yeah, I think that the offensive line is going to be fascinating. Who ends up being the top four tackles at left and right tackle is going to be fascinating. Donnie, I know Donnie wants to play left guard. Matt wants to play right guard. So they're kind of leaving him there, but I still put Donnie at left tackle just because he's our best guy. It's just always been my philosophy. God, I'd try Matt at center. I mean, if the centers don't get it done, put your 6-year guy who's a veteran, the strongest guy on the line, up in the middle. But again, it's gonna be really interesting. I think that there's some dark horses that tackle some young guys. Again, I think the tackles are more wide open than. I think quarterbacks McCord's got it. Like unless he just pees down his leg, I think it's over. But the tackle one I think there could be some movement between Fryer, Jimmy Simmons. It's going to be interesting to see how those guys do. Because whoever's with the first crew, those reps aren't all created equal. If you're first team, second team, if you're first team, you're going against JT and Jack every rep, and that is absolutely miserable. You go second team, you don't see those guys. You see Kenyatta, you see Caden Curry. You get some of those young guys in there, but that ain't the same as going against Jack and JT. Jack and JT are two of the top 10 guys in the entire country, in my opinion, and they are a load to go against. So, it'd be interesting to see if they cycle some of these guys up to the first crew to get them looks against Jack and JT. Because those are the kind of guys you have to block when it's crunch time, Big Ten championship, Michigan, the playoffs. Like you're gonna be playing guys that are of that ilk and that caliber. And that'll be interesting to see how Zen and Luke Montgomery and George Fitzpatrick and those guys would do against Jack and JT. The guys I talk to say JT is by far the hardest guy to block on the defense. Harder than Mike, harder than Tyleek, harder than any of those guys. So, and I think JT's got some room to grow. I think he's got. I watched this film, from about 8 of the games over the weekend, this past weekend, and he's got a lot of meat left on the bone. He can get a lot better than where he was last year, and I think he will. I really do. I think another year in the strength program. He's a guy that started and did a lot as a true freshman and didn't really have any conditioning over the summer other than just working out in Washington. He showed up like a week before camp, and it was go time, and that just never happens. And he was really productive. So I think it's gonna be interesting to see what another year of strength training does for that kid. Well, got any questions in here? Yeah, they love Luke Montgomery. What's up, Brass Tacks? Another regular. Appreciate you guys being on here tonight. What else, Nevada? You got any other thoughts on camp? We can wrap this thing in a second, but What else are you looking forward to? Any other battles? Any other storylines? Like I said, I think it's going to be
Well,
huge. Good.
I just think one of the underrated ones is going to be running back. Because obviously we know we've got a loaded room, but the guy that we haven't really seen since spring of 2022 or whatever it is Evan Pryor, and he's back, and he's fully healthy, and he's ready to go. And I don't know if you remember how good he was that spring game, but he was something else. And it's going to be interesting to see how they utilize him. I keep hearing his name more and more, and if they can keep him around, I just don't know how you keep all these mouths fed. With Trey and Mayan and Dallin and Chip and Evan. You've got just a lot of running backs, and they say you need a pair and a spare. The running backs don't always stay healthy. I think you may see them all this year in various spots all over the field. Evan Pryor's a name. If I'm a fan, keep an eye out for that one, because I think that's something you may come in. And you always look for who's that guy that's going to come and shock you that we haven't been talking about for a while. I think it could be Evan Pryor.
Yeah. I think, a storyline is, and I'm going to go with our guy Beard over here. Where do they play Sonny at? Is Sonny a nickel, early down, Sam linebacker type, then roll back to playing strong safety? I mean, he can. I mean, he's the guy that literally could play like 8 different positions on the defense, but he has to play. He has to be a starter. Like, he's too good. You've got him for 2 years. He's going to go pro after next year. It's already preordained. So you better get something out of this kid, because you're not going to have 6'4" running a 4.4 like this kid for a while. And next year, I easily think he could be our starting will linebacker next to CJ Hicks, because I think he's going to outgrow being a DB, because he's just that big. He's a big dude. And but he runs enough to cover in space and cover slot receivers and muscle him up. And he's a nightmare for a slot receiver to try to block if they try to run a stretch run into a slot. So I'd love thinking of him being a nickel early down, because a nickel is basically kind of like a linebacker in this defense. He's got to play a lot of zone, pass stuff off in the middle of the field. It's less pure cover than an actual cornerback would be. So I think he's a great fit for it. He reminds me of like a Darren Lee playing in the slot, like that Sam linebacker that's walked over in space. So I'm excited to see where they play Sonny. I'm excited to see what do we get out of Lorenzo Sells Jr. if we get anything out of him. I know he's coming to play. Obviously, he played last year, lettered at Notre Dame, multiple years as a receiver. What's his role going to be? Because we're deeper at corner than I think we've been in 3 or 4 years with Davison, with Denzel Burke. We've got some guys, Jordan Hancock. That's depth like we haven't really had at that position. And again, the thing about training camp is you could think you're sweet with your depth, and in one day you could have a guy catch an ankle, catch a hamstring, thigh. It's just that depth could be very fleeting once these guys start sacking practices up. But the good thing is they don't have to do 2 days anymore, so it's a little less wear and tear, which should keep the guys a little bit healthier. Well, to wrap this thing up, Nevada, any final thoughts? Got a big commitment today, big commitment coming on Sunday. But any thoughts?
Yeah, just excited to see the Buckeyes get to the field, man. I know they're eager to get it. To echo your thing on Sonny Sal is absolutely starting. He's going to be a star on the defense this year. He'll be a difference maker. We lacked playmakers. We lacked difference makers. We've talked ad nauseum about 0 interceptions for cornerbacks. You need those guys that cause those big plays. He's a big playmaker. Going to see the field. Just basically think of him as that third linebacker. If you think of 4 guys in the front, 3 at linebacker, 4 in the back, whatever you want to call them, that's what it's going to be. And it's Steel, Tommy, and Sonny, and that's one heck of a linebacking core.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fantastic. And like I said, I think you put CJ and Sonny at linebacker next year, and that's going to be as good as there is in the nation. Well, wrap this thing up. This was a little bit of a late show. Appreciate all you guys joining us. As always, BuckeyesScoop.com is on fire. If you guys are ready for the best inside information in the game, the latest in recruiting, get on BuckeyesScoop.com. We are on there. It is time to get your subscription to the #1 Ohio State fan community in existence. We are really smashing records right now. We've had a ton of new subscribers the last few days. Thank you and welcome to Buckeye Scoop to those of you that have signed up. Appreciate you guys. It is cracking on there right now. As always, if you enjoy this content, please leave us a like, click subscribe, send this to your friends, family, and all your favorite Buckeye fans. trying to spread the best content out there, and you guys are really helping it. So thank you so much. We just went over 20,000 subscribers about a week ago. It's all thanks to you guys. We appreciate that. If you enjoy these live shows, click that alert bell. You can be like to find people like my boy Brass Tax, who's always in here ready to go, bringing the heat in the comment section. So we appreciate that. And shout out where you guys are from. We love listening to where you guys are from, seeing it in the comments. It always brings a smile to my face when I see that we have people watching from basically every continent. It's pretty cool. Buckeye Scoop is all over the place. So we appreciate you guys. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much, Buckeye Nation. Thank you, Scoop family. Talk to you guys tomorrow. Go Bucks.